everybody. Welcome to the Naked Monkey Podcast. With us, as always, is Caleb.
Hello. I'm sorry.
Wait first.
Fuck it, we're rolling. Christopher, or as I call him, Topher.
Topher, the man of many names.
Chris Christopherson.
And the one introducing all of us is me, Drewcifer, the Jolly Drew Giant. Nobody told me which skills were useless and which ones weren't. Like, I picked swimming as if this was like Deus Ex Machina, and it's like, this is bad. Or
yeah, he's no dated kind of that.
That shit'll come in handy with global warming, dude.
No, it won't, because like, at least with swimming in like a pool, there's nothing there to like stab me as I'm swimming. But if like the house gets flooded and I'm trying to swim away, there's a billion very sharp objects that will float to stab me as I'm swimming by.
I thought you were talking about getting like harpooned.
Right, I thought like a shark or something. Like...
In which case I could help you practice.
How can you practice against getting harpooned? Like, are you just going to throw harpoons at me enough until I just develop an immunity?
We'll start with like Nerf harpoons, and I'll just chuck them, and then we'll move up to real harpoons, and then I'll get like where you actually have the gun.
The gun. Very nice.
And then yeah, we'll see if you can't chew through the wire and get away. Yeah.
I reckon I've got enough fucked up teeth where I could probably do that. Like, there's probably like one jagged tooth in the back of my mouth where I could just like, and I could rip through steel wire.
I don't know if that's true, dude. That tooth will probably give out. I think you want like perfect teeth to chew through something, which I don't have.
No.
Something's breaking. There's a filling coming out. Which cat is that making an appearance?
This is my cat. Mostly his name is just Cat.
Right on. Mostly.
I mean, his real name is like CJ, but I probably haven't called him that in like 5 years.
What's that stand for?
Chester Jr.
Really?
Yeah, we had a cat that was all gray, like 100% gray. And we had him for a few years and we called him Chester. And then we got a female cat that he fucked to death.
To death?
Yeah, he just wouldn't let her like leave her alone. And these weren't like inside outside cat. Like, these were just like,
he was inside and outside.
Oh shit. But he just wouldn't let her recover, so she eventually died. And this was like
I thought you were kidding.
No, this was the only cat that we kept that she had. And so as he was the son of the cat, he was CJ.
Is that the one Sam found dead underneath her bed?
I don't know. That might have been a different cat. We've lost a lot of cats.
But how many have you lost due to intercourse? That is not a rare cause. That's got to be a rare cause of death, dude.
Well, we had the one, but saying she found one under her bed doesn't really narrow it down, because, you know, we had a cat that was attacked by a dog that died later. We had a tiny kitten that loved to get underfoot that was crushed.
Damn.
Jesus. I didn't know you had this bad a track record.
Maybe y'all should stop getting cats, dude.
Yeah.
The track record it's in the green, as it were. We're not in the red.
You guys are the grim fucking reaper of cats. As soon as they see you like come out with a fucking Vienna sausage, they're like, run! They never come back out. They'll fuck you to death. Oh, that is crazy though, dude. Yeah, no, I've never really I knew somebody who their sister was wearing headphones and their cat got into the washing machine and the sister turned it on and that killed the cat.
No.
That's got to be a shitty way to go.
Oh, God, dude. I don't know if I can live with myself after that.
See, that's the thing.
That'd be a shitty thing to be responsible for, to have to tell them to. Be like, hey, man, you know what I would say, though? I'd be like, hey, I've got to come clean about something.
You think their clothes were okay?
I don't want to air your dirty laundry, but your cat's dead. And also,
the laundry is still dirty. It ruined your jeans.
Yeah, I accidentally also dried it on high heat, so your sweater's fucked up.
It's shrunk 3 inches.
The cat looks
Your socks
significantly
will
younger,
never-
though.
Your socks will never fit right again. And that pinkish color, it's not because we threw a red in there with the whites. It's from the dead cat.
Oh, I don't
Huh.
think he's listening, but if he is, I'm sure he's happy that his cat is bringing us joy.
It's certainly bringing me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
I've never had like a tragic loss of a pet before. You know, like I've only had like where they just stop living
Yeah.
because like something goes wrong and it's like, but it's not like actually that's not true. We had a hit and run doggo when I was a kid, but it was like a family dog and I was pretty young. I was pretty devastated.
See, I had one of those where we had a chocolate Pomeranian, this tiny dog who was a huge prick.
Sounds about
Mostly
right.
to the kid. And one day before we go to school, we find that he was ran over. And right before, and, we're all like, what the hell is going on? Like, oh my God. And I'm in I'm like in first grade. So I got to go to school to be like, is my dog dead? Is like, shit. And it turns out like they were like, oh yeah, we almost had to amputate the dog's leg, but then he just had a cast. And I'm like, did you really almost have to amputate? Or are you just being kind of a bitch? Like, are you just over exaggerating for more money?
Wait. So the dog did live?
Oh yeah, he just
Oh,
they were like,
okay.
yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
not
He had like just the craziest cast on like his arm and shoulder. It was like, what the fuck?
So you thought maybe the vet was like trying to get more money
I
out
thought
of
he
you?
was gonna hustle us. He's like, oh yeah, we almost had to amputate. Your dog almost didn't live. And it's like, but he just had a broken arm. What do you mean he almost didn't live?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a bit extreme. I feel like people
Yeah.
recovered from broken arms, like even like pretty regularly before we were good at dealing with that.
Yeah.
It might heal weird. Not
Right. It
death.
might not be straight, but it'll work.
What, the
Yeah.
fucking bone puncture the skin? What's going on?
I couldn't tell you.
That pocket, honestly.
It was at least more than a few years ago.
That's a very accurate measurement of time. Yeah, I had an ex that was like, I always wanted a tripod, and I was like, let me see your dog.
Aw.
That's an achievable dream. Now, if you wanted a dog with 5 legs, I can't really help you. I don't have that good of I'm not that much of a seamster. Can't sew that bad boy on.
Not a working way.
I could put a
See-
paw on the end of the tail.
That'd be cool. I mean, some monkeys could be considered to have like a 5th appendage with their tail.
I would say they do for sure, like prehensile tails.
Yeah, I'm on those quick.
You can't just run away from all your problems.
Well, I had a dog, our first dog growing up. He would stay outside a lot. And we would have to go to Indiana. Forget where we were living at the time. I think that was when we were in Illinois. And my dad had this cabin over here with the trailer park they had to like take care of.
Mhm.
And so we would go there for weekends a lot of times. And my dad never really liked the dog anyway, so we wouldn't take him. And he would just, put a bunch of food and water out there for him on the weekends. And we came back one weekend and he was just gone.
What the fuck?
Like what happened?
We don't know if like the neighbors just came and just let him out or if he just somehow got out. We just came back. The fence was opened.
And he was just gone.
Yeah.
Damn. That's sad.
Yeah.
That's like the mystery of it. That's actually
Yeah.
worse. I'd rather know, like, at least know what's going on
Right.
here.
Yeah.
God
I
damn.
really sucked.
Some baby back bullshit.
Knowing that dog, he was a pretty aggressive little guy. Me and him would wrestle all the time. So I don't know. Maybe somebody just thought he'd be a good fighting dog. He looked like part Rottweiler,
Well, yeah. How big?
Maybe.
How big was the dog?
It's hard to say. This was probably like 9 or 10 at the time.
Back when you peaked?
Maybe even young. Yeah. It's a heavy peak. Yeah, but I mean, he was a good sized dog. I don't know if I've seen our dog Tucker now, but he was,
Tucker Carlson?
yeah, that dog, about that size, much more aggressive.
Oh shit.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. That's kind of like that. That's also kind of concerning too, because aggressive dogs, not everybody reacts to those too well.
Yeah,
So like if he was stray
like
and they picked
never-
him up, like would they like, you know what I mean? Would he pass like the aggression test for the pound?
Right. That's my dad was just like, when we got home and we couldn't find him, my dad was just immediately on his chair reading the newspaper. Oh, good riddance.
That's the most dad way to react to anything.
Are
Yeah.
we sure your dad didn't like cohort with the neighbors to be like, I hate this dog, just like while we're gone, just go
I
open
would
the
never
fence?
know.
Yeah, they'll never know. They'll never prove this. It can't be traced back to me. Just let him out.
It would not be the first time that a parent has done some shady shit to get rid of a pet,
Yeah.
and it won't be the last.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm only going to get my kids pets so that I can break their hearts.
That's why I will give them nothing but like fruit flies as pets, so they can experience how crazy it is for them to die in like a day. Be like, this is your pet, and then later that day they'll be like, yep.
Daddy, why? I'm just messing with shit, so I don't know how that's gonna look. But I also think though that that's not long enough to care about that animal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody, even as a kid, like actually, I don't know. As a kid, I didn't really give a shit about animals a lot. Like I loved animals, but not like bugs. I still don't really care too much about bugs, man.
It needs to have eyelashes or eyebrows to be considered like lovable.
We got some sclera. I need sclera.
What the fuck is that?
Right, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's the white shit in your eye. So like
Racist.
dogs, yeah, exactly. Dogs have developed like more sclera because it makes them seem like more emotive. So like they've like co-evolved. You know what I mean? To like it's like when we look at their eyes, like things that like if you just picture like if all of this was black, like it's harder to read my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting that dogs have developed more sclera over time so that we relate to them easier.
I mean, I think dogs are like just a perfect example of how you could just bend an animal to your will, to humanity's will, I should say.
Dude,
overall.
straight up, that we're just like, I wonder what would happen if we just fucked hard with genetics.
Right, like, what if we just made the most friendly, happy-go-lucky animal you've ever encountered?
Yeah. They're cool. I do love dogs. But yeah, I also think though too, like my dog Marley, like I was like, dude, we've created something so friendly that it's not even helpful. Like if you broke into my house with an AR and just threw some beef jerky down, it's over for us.
Yeah, because you're like, just take the gold. Let me get that beef jerky.
Yeah,
Like,
and they're
you're
so
right there along with your dog.
like a golden retriever. Those things are so fucking friendly. Like they're gonna roll over for belly pets
Mm-hmm.
for the
That's what's
rapist.
good about pit bulls. Because even though they are, I'm pretty sure made of like Play-Doh, they still look intimidating enough to like detract people.
That's true. Marley sounded intimidating, but no, he was not.
What kind of dog is Marley?
He was a English lab.
Mm.
They're basically labs, except they're shorter and stockier. It kind of looks like he was mixed with a hound dog.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
he was a very gentle dog, very very sweet. Always leaked key lime though.
What?
So like, yeah, so like I guess like little bits of semen would just sort of like, sort of come out on the tip of his peen, and then it would just sit there and like I guess spoil. So it turned like a greenish color. And so obviously I wouldn't let him on the bed, but you would find little key lime dots around the house.
I love that you started calling them key lime dots. That's
And you almost went by without explaining what that was.
yeah, he's like
That's 'cause
everyone just knows what key lime dots are, right?
It's because we've been saying it for so long in my family. Like I just assumed everybody just knows what that is. It's key lime, brothers. It does not taste like key lime though, dude.
So there was never no key lime pie?
Yeah, you wipe that shit off on a graham cracker, you got yourself a treat.
I'm thinking that after a while, they would be like kind of like hard and crunchy. Like they'd have like a nerds sort of bite to them.
Oh, God. Oh, that's
There's only
good.
one color in this box.
Yeah. So that did suck because I loved having him up on the bed, but I was like, dude, I'm not dealing with the key lime, man. It started happening in his older age. I don't know if his boys were sour or something.
Like he just produced sour milk, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so bad.
It was pretty
Yeah.
gross, man. It was pretty bad. The other dog didn't do that, so he could come in the bed. But I couldn't like verbally explain that. So Marley would just look at me with this huge sad eyes, and I'm like, I'm sorry, dude. You're just disgusting.
You could have collected those and just been a menace at your local Walmart.
What, the key lime dots?
Yeah, you could have just collected those and just really wreaked havoc on like one local Walmart around you.
I
Or just
want you to give me more details on what that means.
You could have flung them at people. You could have put them in their fucking, their grocery bag as they were leaving. You could have been like, oh, excuse me, and then like wiped it on their face as you like pretend to trip. You could have been a menace.
That's great. That's a great like fight prevention right there. Like,
Knowing your childhood is surprising you didn't.
Right.
That's
Just
true.
key lime dots.
yeah, man. Even I have my limits, man. I'm not gonna key lime a man. Although one time I found this blue tick hound outside, and I was like, I'll take him. And he was riddled with worms. And so like I found this out like after he had slept in my bed. So it was pretty nasty. I'm like, yeah, that's good. But my buddy Trevor was over, and so I had the dog like this, like an arm lock, to where his anus was facing Trevor, and I kept telling him I was gonna like squeeze the dog and launch a butt worm out onto his lip.
And then it actually happened.
No, it didn't. I'm not sure that's possible, but in my imagination it was. And then that same day, he had a little M80, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And he was holding it in my house because he just walked around with firecrackers. I don't fucking know. It's Burlington. And so I kept flicking my lighter at it, and he's in my house. And finally, I accidentally hit the wick and it lit. So he ran into my bathroom, and I grabbed it from him and I threw it into my toilet, thinking that would extinguish it, but it didn't. And it blew the fucking bottom of that toilet out, dude. It was gone. And this was an apartment, dude. My mom was pissed. And then somebody fucking shit in it. After that, dude, there was no bottom to the toilet. There's no fucking turd in it. And like a wet clump of toilet paper.
You know what they say, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah. Somebody went in there, looked down, and was like, whatever. And just shit anyway.
I mean, it's not like, as long as it was nobody who lived there. Like if I went over to my friend's house and that was sort of the case, but I had to shit, I'm like, I'm like, there's no downside to me shitting in this broken toilet.
Yeah, that's true. I at least understand the decision, but for some reason I have the sneaking suspicion that it was a resident. That's how apathetic. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Nah, it was you.
Nah, man, because I would definitely include that in the story. That spices it up even more. But no, it would have been funny if I did. One time I peed on my friend's windshield, and then a cold front came in. It froze. Like a pee filmed their windshield, and they had to go to work the next day. They were defrosting it. They said they just smelled the pee. Oh, that was my friend Maria. She was not laughing at the time, but I mean, in retrospect, that's fucking hilarious.
I mean, I'm certainly laughing now. So Maria, you can go straight to hell.
Oh, so yeah, dude, I did notice, like, it seems like our videos, I feel like the longer videos are better. I don't think we should shorten them too much.
Yeah.
Just from looking at like the view counts, it seems like people prefer them a little longer. Oddly, 45
minutes is like the bare minimum. It seems like the shorter ones than that don't really.
By the time you get into it, it's over.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, like, for a podcast, you know what I mean? Like, we're not like coming in and like a YouTube video is like generally scripted, like covering a topic, not minimal effort.
Yeah, like, I mean, most of the podcasts I listen to are 2+ hours. You know, like I'm.
Dude, what do you listen to?
PBD podcast, Last Stand Media.
What is PBD?
Patrick Bet David. Have you ever heard of Valuetainment? No. All right.
No,
Well,
no.
he's just a entrepreneur that gone, and now he just does all kinds of stuff. Now they have kind of like a business / political podcast,
Okay.
and like I guess it's called the Home Team, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
that's
hard to say what umbrella it falls under, but that one's pretty good. And the thing is, half these, I don't listen to all of them that they put out because it's also too much.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. It's a lot. I'm gonna grab a drink, but I can still hear and speak and poop.
Okay.
What about pee?
I actually just got done super gluing my urethra shut.
Oh.
So you don't get the key lime dots.
Nope, exactly. I don't want to get kicked out of the bed again.
Imagine you like sneeze and then you just kill a man by accidentally shooting like a key lime dot at him. Like,
I was thinking, like, here's a weird thought. If you injected food coloring into your scrotum, would that like alter the color of your semen?
hmm.
Because I feel like with extreme body modification people, I feel like this should have been thought of by now. Because those people do all kinds of shit.
Maybe it hasn't.
And maybe it has. I'm just afraid to Google it because I don't
Well, it's
want to know what I'll
because-
find.
I mean, let's be honest. We're all fairly savvy online. Like we've seen crazy shit.
I like how you're trying to lump yourself into that category.
I mean, we've all seen
All of us
crazy-
youngsters and our ability to use technology adequately. Shut up,
Well,
Drew.
Well, what I'm saying is the fact that none of us have seen somebody try to do that makes me think that it probably doesn't work. Like somebody tried it one time, and has made that their life's goal to make sure that people know that it doesn't work. Like that's why it's not like a widespread thing.
They started they started a full on .org. Don't inject your
Exactly.
balls
That's-
with Kool-Aid.org.
Exactly. They're like, it turns out you cannot Kool-Aid man your way to like red. And also, who wants red jizz? Like if you inject it with red food coloring.
Terrify me.
Because think of the prank value.
Although, I mean, you
You
can
just start screaming.
I've heard
you could
can,
ruin
like,
someone's
change
night.
the flavor. I don't know about the color, but you can change the flavor. Especially citrusy.
Kool-Aid could do both.
Potentially.
And I mean, I wouldn't pick red. I'd pick something like cool. I wouldn't pick green either because the key lime.
I was about to say, I know for a fact there is
Purple?
a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles porn.
I saw the trailer for the new Turtles movie, dude. Looks pretty good.
It does look good, but I don't know if they use green jizz. But if there is a way to dye that shit green and they didn't use it, I'm gonna say that's a wasted opportunity right there.
Well, any inclusion of jizz in the what's the first word of this movie? Teenage. I just feel like right off the bat,
Hey.
FBI.
How old
Yeah.
is an 18-year-old? What would you call an 18-year-old?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't call them teenagers, but oh, you're 19, you're a teenager. That's technically true.
It's Hey, that's all you need. That's what the law requires. Is technicalities. Technically,
God, you sound like somebody at a pop punk concert.
just really trying to explain why like 17-year-olds are like, no, bro, it's okay. I swear.
17,
No,
19, what's the difference?
What's like 30 days, bro? All I'm saying is, what's like 17 more months of 30-day increments? That's all it takes. And
Yeah.
you're like, wait, what? Let me
It
do
just
the math
keeps
on
getting
that.
bigger and bigger, like the gap.
Yeah,
Dude, 10 months, 10 years.
it's all the same. 10
Yeah.
hours, it might be 15 years. We don't know. And they're like, wait a minute. No, go to jail.
You zoom out far enough on the timeline, dude. It's just a blip. Can't even see the difference.
Hey, why is it okay for a 60-year-old to date a 40-year-old, but it's not okay for me, a 30-year-old? And they're like, no, stop it right now.
Yeah. Wait,
Stop where you're going.
I'm no mathematician.
But I think you should go to jail.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it is. You got to pick a number, right? Like, I know it seems arbitrary, but you just got to pick one. You're like, hey, don't sleep with that person. And then at this point, like on the other side, you're like, we just can't care anymore. Like, we can't keep up with it forever. It might still be wrong to sleep with an 18-year-old in some culture, but we're just like, fuck it. You're out of my
And
hands.
that's a crazy thing. Imagine the first guy, like if there was like a committee to be like, how young is too young? And somebody came up from like Delaware and they're like, 14. And everybody's like, ew. And he's like,
Yeah.
all right, but why do I go first? Fuck you guys.
Dude, that number's gotten progressively like higher as history has gone on. And I think that's for the best. Because like,
Yeah.
you know, I think I've thought about that too. Like maybe back in the day, like lifespan was a thing where it's like, you should wait till you're like 21. And they're like, we don't even live that long.
Right? Like, fuck
We
you.
barely live for 25. Why would I start then?
Right. You got to bust them out.
Grandparent by 22. What are you, gay?
Yeah. Oh, but then like on the opposite side, like I think like our understanding of psychology has helped a lot because we're like, whoa, like the emotional development of a human being. Like I think that once we started seeing that more, although what's fucked up is in like World War II era times, they had this whole petition of a lot of them were like the existentialist philosophers, not to say that existentialists are all pedophiles, but it's weird to see what can gain traction because all of these people were signing petitions saying that there should be no age of consent because it's like, how do they put it? Like some weirdo ass backwards, like I obviously am in an academic bubble philosophy, you know what I mean? Because it's like they were like, oh, that's undermining the intelligence of children to make decisions for themselves. I'm like, yeah, because they're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
There was a
Don't fuck
politician
them.
who recently just came out and said he was trying to defend child marriage. He's like, look, all the people I know who got married at 12, they're still together. And you're like, wait, say that again?
Yeah.
All the people you know.
Yeah. A lot.
Older than now.
Where's he from?
I think Kentucky.
Fuck. They didn't have like sex ed.
You just had sex with a guy named Ed.
Uncle Ed, the horse.
I don't want to get into
That's a real good tongue from that guy.
His lips. Let me get that key lime.
There was that story of the guy who was fucked to death by a horse.
Yeah, it turns out that you shouldn't do that.
No, it turns out probably a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, duh.
And that's what made Iowa finally make bestiality illegal.
Right. Iowa. Yeah.
150 years.
Yeah, dude, I saw this documentary, a trailer for a documentary. I didn't actually see it, but the trailer was like, it was presented as super sincere. And like, it was like a fucking PSA to make people stop fucking horses.
Fucking stop.
And like, they
man.
talked about that death and they talked about other deaths. And I'm like, does this have to be a PSA?
Right.
I guess it does. But
It
like,
must.
this can't be that big of a fucking problem because smoking cigarettes, let's be real, it's cool. So like,
Okay. Where are you
it
going
makes
with this?
sense. It makes sense to be like, hey man, like don't smoke because I know the people you look up to smoke, and I know it looks cool and it makes you feel good, but don't do it. I don't feel like fucking horses makes you look cool. It can't feel great if it's killing you, like immediately, not like a slow cool guy cancer,
That's what I think of every
like
time I see
an
a
immediate
sign that's
bloody
like, "Don't do
penetration.
this." You know, you know, if there's a sign saying "Don't do this," don't
Somebody had to
pass
do
here. Somebody did it. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
some
true,
of it
man.
Really surprised you.
And it
Although
just
I
happened that somebody did happened to be Mr. Ed.
we should come up with we should like come up with like a sign game just to fuck with people. You know what I mean? Like yeah, I've like beware of dog, but like just have one like don't fuck my dog. Because people are going to be like, why does he have a sign that says that? Like, what happened?
Just a sign that says like beware of horse fucking, and you're like, what? I don't want to ring the doorbell anymore.
My dog is an anal terrier.
Oh god. Now he's trying to think of like porn dog names.
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel like signs like that could really, really like undermine somebody's confidence before they break into your backyard.
Yeah, and make them just go, I don't even want to see what this person has. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. My shih tzu will eat your shit zoo.
Oh, yeah. That could be fun. Dude, it has a really strong sign game? The Westboro Baptist Church.
Right? There's nothing more like up front than, God hates flags minus a letter.
I was watching this thing one time and it was like a documentary, just they're like interviewing them and stuff. And like they have a whole room, dude. It's like, how like they organize records in a record store? They have that for all their signs. They're like, who do we hate today? And they're like sorting through it and they're like, this is a good one. And it's just like aborted women will be boiled alive in hell. And you're like, that's a lot of letterage.
Right. Like, no. This will be sort of like, this will be like a drive-by protest. So we need the short sign. We need the one that's like 3 letters or less. So they go to our 3 words section and then they're like, Jesus ate babies. And they're like, perfect.
They have they have like a whole Library of Congress like organization system. They're like, so are we talking like walking into a building, like slow read, or are we talking like, drive by the abortion clinic and like just hurt someone? More like a slow burn. We need a slow burn sign.
Are we protesting at the Capitol or off the exit ramp of a highway? Those are 2 very distinct details we need.
I think actually what's interesting is we're going to need 2 different signs. It was a gay soldier who died. So we need to let him know it was wrong to both be gay and to be a soldier.
God's happy you're dead. And they're like, yep, perfect. 4 words right here. We're going to protest this man's funeral.
Yeah. Because, dude, they would protest the funeral of soldiers because they considered them murderers. And so that's fucking crazy. And then they also went to go protest when the bassist of Slayer died. They showed up to protest it, and the what are they fucking called? I'm having a brain fart. Hell's Angels. The Hell's Angels showed up, and so that actually worked. They all left.
I mean,
as you should when the Hell's Angels show up. Let's be real.
Yeah, don't the Hell's Angels have like a thing where they will go to court for children who are like abuse victims so that they feel safe to testify? Well, they'll show up as these like just giant scary bikers and be like, yeah, whoever you're testifying against, we'll kill them if they try to do anything. And they're like, I feel so much better.
That's the angel half. That's the angel half.
Also, Hell's Path for just loving murder.
Oh, for sure, dude. The Rolling Stones, they hired them as security for their concert. That was a genius fucking idea. Next thing you know, fucking heads are getting busted for almost nothing. Like, did you look at the stage? And they're just breaking a 17-year-old's face.
Yeah, just like Woodstock 99.
Yeah, they're just looking for an opportunity.
To this day, the worst part of Woodstock 99 was the fact that Limp Bizkit was there. Not because of anything that occurred, just the fact that they were present. And creating I'm not sure there's a whole lot of bands that are worse than Limp Bizkit.
Especially after it's like a sequel to Woodstock, like one of the most influential, important music events in music. And then Woodstock 99 has Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Let's take something peace and love and just add all the rage.
Yeah. Also, I feel like it wasn't even like, I feel like the lineup could have been way more cool for that level of destruction. You know what I mean? Like when you're thinking of that level of destruction, you just think like brutal. You don't think like Green Day. That's not riot music. That's like it's I'm irritated music. You know what I mean? We're like, I'm about to write my senator.
Yeah. That's saying I'm boycotting Starbucks on Facebook because they charged extra for the mocha whip. You're like,
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but I feel like those are the guys are also the guys that are just waiting for the opportunity. So if one guy just goes off the rails, like everyone's just following suit, you know?
Yeah. I also don't really think that those bands outside of Limp Bizkit should be held accountable for that, for the crowd's destruction. That the
This
people
is
of
where you and I
Woodstock,
will
the
disagree.
people conducting it did a lot of fucking shit wrong. People weren't having access to
Yeah.
water, but they had access to alcohol, all kinds of fucking weirdo shit. And like Limp Bizkit was like egging the audience on, but like,
Yeah.
See, this is where you and I will disagree. You say you blame Limp Bizkit. I say you're lumping together the bandmates with Fred Durst. Fred Durst is the one we should really be crucifying, just getting him up there on like the witch's cross. Let's burn
yeah,
him at the stake.
yeah, I don't even care if he's accountable. You know what I mean? Like, I don't legitimately believe it's his fault, but I would absolutely just testify against him. I would have to
Yeah,
be.
why not?
They put me on the jury. I'd just be like, they'd be like, you have anything you need to like get off your chest for jury duty? I'd be like, I fucking hate Fred Durst. So on the off chance that this is his trial, I probably shouldn't be here.
It's a perfect way to get out of jury duty to be like, oh, he hates Fred Durst.
Yeah, just one guy.
I will say there's only one thing I've ever learned about Fred Durst that actually made me not respect, but at least like sympathize with him. And that is he had a contract that if you used any Limp Bizkit song in a video game, Fred Durst had to be a playable character.
That is. I mean, that's cool. I respect
So
that
you
choice.
had him, you had him as a playable character in like all the WWE games and like the Tony Hawk games. But what you might not know is that he was definitely playable in the PS2 version of Fight Club.
Yeah, I think you told me about that one, and I didn't even know there was a Fight Club game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's terrible. It's very bad.
I imagine. And part of me is just kind of like, did you really get like?
Did you watch the movie or even read the book?
Yeah, did Chuck Palahniuk like sign off on that? Because I feel like he didn't.
I believe it's Chuck Palahniuk.
Is it Palahniuk? I don't know, man.
All I'm saying is that
It's
dude's
your
name
fault
is
for
like
having a name like that.
Yeah, that dude's name is 3 letters away from summoning a demon.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it. But he's a good author.
Yeah.
He's a good author.
Chuck Papadopoulos.
Invisible Monsters. That's a good book. If you've never read that book,
I haven't. I haven't read most books though.
I think every single person could say that.
Yeah, fair enough. I've read almost none of the books.
Yeah, of the books that exist, I have read very few.
I have definitely not read a plurality of books.
But you did read the novelization of what Batman movie?
1989.
Yeah,
The original.
That's how you can tell a man doesn't have a priority list.
I was preteen. You got to give me that.
Back when you peaked.
Definitely.
And when you peaked, you chose to read the novelization of the 1989 Batman. You had infinite choices. And that's what you read.
Did I have infinite choices?
Oh, you did, dude.
Or go get tetanus off of the fucking rusty gate that was around this shitty old property.
Did y'all have a library?
I feel like the 1989 read-along version had to be harder to find than most books.
That's a very good fucking point.
You gotta. This is the thing. I never looked for it. It was just there.
How did this just pop up?
Yeah.
It was just one of those things that like was left at a house we went to. You know what I mean? Like this was not something I went to look for. This was like, oh hey, you go into the house and there's the novelization of Batman, and I'm like, I like Batman. That's why I read Batman. I was like, what's this? I thought it was a comic at first, and then when I read words, I was like, what is this?
Yeah. Dude, I remember you explaining that to me because like we were talking about, we were making jokes about novelizing things like that. And then like he brought that up and I laughed. And we're like hugging. And then he starts talking about like differences between the movie and the book. And I'm like, wait a second. You read it? And he's like, oh yeah. I was like, oh, I thought we were just laughing that it existed. I didn't know you did a fucking book report.
See, what I learned recently because of this is that there is a lot of those movies from back in that time, like that would just have books based off of the original screenplay of this movie.
Some of them are good.
I mean, I wouldn't know. I've only read the one.
There's a book called Hondo that is a novelization of a movie. Like the movie technically came. It's kind of like a weird Inception. Like dude wrote a short story. They made a movie based on that, and then he wrote a book based on the movie that was based on his short story. But it's good. It's good.
Sort of like the novelization of the original script of Jurassic Park, which was based off of the movie Jurassic Park.
Which was based off of Michael Crichton's.
Yeah,
Jurassic
exactly.
Park.
That's a whole level of like, what?
Like, hey, is there any way we could just totally ruin Michael Crichton's work? We're like, yeah, absolutely. Sign me up. I'll do it.
Give me a day. I got you.
He can be a hard read, Michael Crichton, because he's like a literal fucking scientist. So like you'll be like going through this like narrative flow and you're like, this is neat. And then you like hit this section where it's just scientific names and you're like, Mike,
Relax.
I don't fucking care. I don't need a paragraph. I know you're a scientist. If I wanted to read a science book, I would do that.
Right. That's why I always hated the Lord of the Rings books, from what I've heard, because it's like, oh, it's all this cool stuff. And then it's 3.5 pages of dwarves singing. But how do you get a tune from reading it? So it'd be like the dwarves then go on, like when they get to the land of the elves, then it's the dwarves decided to sing about how cool it was. And then it went like this. And then for like 2.5 pages, it's him describing the elves singing. And it's like, what do you want me to do with that?
Dude, well, you pick... there's a lot to unpack here. There's the version where I don't fucking get all nerdy, and then there's the version where I do. But
I could do both.
But yeah, no, for one, like you can just read it like poetry. You don't have to have a tune in your head. But what's interesting, what's actually cool, if you like nerdy shit, is when you compare the content and imagery of like the dwarven songs to the songs that the goblins sing and the songs that the elves sing. They actually do highlight like really significant differences. Even to the cadence of how they do it, like the goblins, when they rhyme, they use very harsh syllables. And it has this timbre that's like, but when the dwarves do it, it's a lot more like, it's not as harsh as the goblins, but it's still hard. And when the elves do it, it's very flowery.
I mean, I'm sure it's, good writing, but
yeah, it's... Yeah.
I mean, if we're comparing, like the scientific terms that Michael Crichton uses in his books to where you're like, all right, man, I get it.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, for sure. Well, I think that
Railroad Tolkien is definitely an abuser.
He's not an abuser.
Of words?
He was Catholic. He may have been a child abuser.
But you can forgive him for that.
Yeah, that is not as bad to you as the 2 pages of dwarven poetry.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think he was a medievalist. So like people don't, to me, that's why I love the Lord of the Rings, is people don't write books like that anymore. Nobody really like the genre of epics. No one writes actual epics anymore. But if you go back and you read like the Poetic Edda, or stuff like Norse writings, then like they read a lot. If you read that and then you read the Lord of the Rings, you would think they came from the same era. The way they wrote.
You know what? You might be swaying me. I can understand that then. It's more, it was meant to be even flowery at the time to like sort of harken back, if I can use a fancy word.
Yeah, absolutely. Or like if you're a theology nerd, like if you spent time reading like biblical stories and then you go to Tolkien, it even has.
Honestly, yeah, learning about, the first steps of World War I, about the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, that was so much cooler. Mm-hmm. Take Me Out, especially.
Yeah, damn, dude, I never thought about the name of that song until now.
Exactly. But that's the only time I ever really gave a shit about history, because like history is so cool, but school really just fucked it in the butt.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah,
like if
really
one of you guys relay a cool historical story to me, I'm like interested, because you tell it. It's storytelling. How the fuck do you make that boring?
Yeah, like there was a quote unquote war in Greece between like a northern and a southern country.
Grease lightning.
Exactly. 600 men went north to fight this war, Nobody died. 601 came back because they just took a guy from the north who was really vibing with the guys from the south.
This war has been a net positive.
Exactly.
like
The
to cover your
casualties
shit.
are in the negatives. You came back with somebody.
We are the standing army that went north. Plus Ralph, he's pretty tight.
From the north, and he's like, "Yeah, it's really cool in the south, man. There's much
Yeah.
more sun."
You guys got pretty neat outfits.
Hey,
Yeah, he's just here.
Right? It's like you could spend 20 minutes just hyping up a class to do that, but nobody
Yeah.
does.
That's
'Cause
true,
they're
dude.
dumb.
That's why, honestly, like I listen to history podcasts, and those are much more entertaining. I also just thought, I think if I were an outlaw, it would be hilarious to like steal knowledge at gunpoint. Like, I just kick in your door with like my gun and I just point it at a professor and I'm like, teach me Greek, you son of a bitch.
Okay.
And he's just got to do that now or I'll kill him. I just stole education.
When you said that, my mind went a thief trying to get knowledge. So like you kick down the door of somebody's house and you're like, "Give me the number to your safe." They give it to you and you're like, "All right, thanks for that knowledge," and then you just leave.
I don't even want. Or I take his fucking doctorate off the wall. It's mine now.
You take the calendar because you want to take that knowledge of the days. You're like, "This is mine now." You take his dictionary. You're like, "I want words."
Dude, I was thinking the other day.
Oh, no,
I
that's
think
not
I
good.
told you when I got my stitches. I'm pretty sure that this was like the second, if not the first time this man ever had done stitches, and he didn't do great. But it made me think like I'm not going to hate on this guy. There always has to be a first time, right? Like somebody has
Right.
there was the first time I did brain surgery.
right.
That's
I think about
terrifying,
that
and I don't
all
want to
the
know.
time.
Mm-hmm.
I think about that anytime I go to the hospital. I'm like, there is a decent chance this is the first time somebody's doing a major procedure.
Yeah,
Well-
somewhere.
You guys want to know a fun fact?
Is it really fun? Because I feel like this is not a fun segue, but go on.
Well, this will help maybe make decisions about your life in the near future.
Doubt it.
August usually has the highest spike of in-hospital deaths because that's usually when the what are they called? Like the new doctors, whatever they're called.
Rookies,
Yeah, pretty much. The rookies
Padawans.
start taking more patients. So that's usually when they make the first mistakes. And that's when usually people get the wrong medicine, take heart medication when really their liver's fucked up and then they die. Like, so
Sometimes, man, you just
try not to go to hospitals in August.
that's fucked up because like we have a lot of August births in my family, and some of them have been complicated. Now you got me thinking.
Explains a lot about you.
That was their first baby. These
Exactly.
people didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Wow.
I think it's resident. I think they're called residents. First
Yeah.
time.
That is cool. Because our first kid was going to be born in August, so that didn't end up happening. So maybe that's a good thing.
Maybe because we have a lot of August people. We have like August and October. All of my family have just funneled into those 2 months.
I mean, it makes
That's
sense
a lot,
though.
October, November.
Because, I mean, that makes sense because like a lot of kids are born around the end of the year or like the third quarter or fourth quarter because a lot of people be fucking during Christmas and like the holiday season. So a lot of
That's
people
true.
then end up
Right.
I
like
got
you can track births in areas how they increase 9 months after a major blackout.
But don't any of the people ask you to leave the room while they're delivering?
Usually if it's just a pizza, but with a baby there tends to be a few people there who's involved.
Just Drew's in there, the most inconspicuous fucking hill giant. He's dressed like a nun.
Don't mind me, I'm just gonna bless this mess.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm gonna bless this mess, ma'am. That's the afterbirth. The baby, the baby's over there. Oh, dude, that's funny, man.
Yeah, no, the new one is due around in November. I'm really hoping on the subject, like a lot of births happened in November in my family. specifically November 12th. My grandma was born on November 12th. My dad was born on November 12th. So I'm wondering if we can
Weird.
get this kid out on the 12th.
That would be crazy.
Just tell her to concentrate, man.
Yeah, I think she
you
could
hold
do
that baby in.
Yeah.
You hold it. Hold it like a fart.
it.
Honestly, I think it would be very funny if you had your kid on November 30th
Why?
because that's my birthday.
Oh, okay. I would hate to have the same birthday as somebody. I don't want them over.
See, I prefer it because it would take most of the light of my birthday onto a kid. Like, I hate that awkward standing around for happy birthday. Like, if there was a kid to take all that for me, I'd be like, cool, it's his birthday.
Wow.
I wonder if you had been born with that, if you were the same way, because my dad, having the same birthday as his mom, he lamented it.
Yeah.
Because he got all the spotlight, he got none. Especially being the oldest kid, too. He was kind of just...
That is an interesting prospect.
That is interesting. It reveals a lot about Drew's self-image.
I mean, hey.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, if there's one thing if you've never been in danger of, it's not being the center of attention. Because you have a big personality, too.
Right?
Yeah.
Big heart, big personality, big lungs.
Tiny dick.
That's the bitch of it.
Yeah. It's an Audi. It's like an Audi belly button.
This large frame with this tiny, tiny dick, it really accentuates the fact that it's so tiny.
But dude, even if you had a regular sized dick in scale, it would look small.
So I should really just enjoy the fact that it is small. Like, imagine if I was just packing like a cannon and it still looked small on my frame. Like,
well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, imagine if Shaq just had like a 6-inch dick, it would look little.
It would
Compared to the rest of Shaq, it would look small.
That's why I only bang little people. Because at least then, comparatively, it sort of evens out to, being, comparable.
Dude, you and a little person, man, that's just a hilarious image for me.
Right? That's like, do you know who Thor Bjornsson is? He's one of the more strongest men.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually the Mountain in
yeah. Like, the Mountain. Why didn't you just say so?
He was like season 3. He was the one that killed
the Viper.
Yeah, that's Thor Bjornsson. This dude's wife
is that his legal name?
Like third of this man.
Most people are, in his defense.
But yes, that is his legal name.
And they have a kitty with each other. It blows me away that the baby then just
does have.
Oh, dude, for sure. I'm pretty sure that's more like, how snakes shed their mold? That's how the baby was born. It just the skin would fly.
See, that's and also
it's molting.
There's also a chance that he has done steroids, so it probably even shrunk his shit more so than normal. So maybe he had
a chance.
You think
people just look like that in the wild?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why he has to get an extra small woman. So even in comparison to his massive frame, his tiny, tiny dick
still seems
just
big.
Works with that woman. And I know I'm talking shit on a man that would literally pick me up and throw me across the house.
And that's saying something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure, dude.
Steroids shrink the testes, not the dick.
That's what I was thinking too. I didn't even know if that was true. I thought maybe that was just how people were like, oh, don't do heroin. I thought it was like the same thing. They were just like, oh, if you do steroid, your balls will shrink. Because they can't tell you there's no downside. Because then we'd all be doing it. We'd all be doing it. They'd be like, it's bad for your heart. I'm like, what isn't it? Give me the roids.
Right? Like,
a lot of people should be doing testosterone nowadays because like testosterone is down, but
oh yeah, dude, I know it's down. I've been bird watching, man. You ever do that shit? It's actually fucking awesome. I'm not. I'm joking, but yeah, I've been birding recently, and
so I've looked at birds like walk around the ground and like fly into a tree, but I've never gone like binoculars and like sitting in a chair like, oh, let's go look at a fucking crow. Or
nah, you got to go out. You got to go on trails, dude. You bring your binoculars and you bring your field guide, dude. Once I made this connection, it was all different. It's Pokemon.
We
You
just
have your
trying to catch
Pokedex,
them all.
and then you watch and you're trying to identify the species of the bird, and then you record the kind of bird you saw, and you're always looking for a different species of different rarities. You're like, holy shit, is that a downy woodpecker? Anyway, yeah,
woodpecker.
so
That's what my best friend was called in 6th grade. Where he
I'll
did
find out
blackface.
with these birds.
birds are
There's
cool
a
as
lot
fuck.
of geese around our work, and so the geese have actually started using crosswalks as of recent.
Dude, birds are fucking smart, man. Not
Yeah.
all of them, but some of them are really smart.
These
Man, you know,
Canadian geese, man, they got a leg up.
they're polite enough to use the crosswalk. That's why they're Canadian.
Yeah, dude. Oh, sorry about that. Just trying to get across. Don't hurt me, babies.
Have I ever told
And
you,
then he turns Irish.
Caleb,
I don't know accents.
have I ever told you, Caleb, what I do every time I pass a geese or like a flock of geese or a goose or even a single goose?
Furiously masturbate to no conclusion.
Usually, but that's just to edge me on to what I do. I roll down the window, slow down the car, and I will yell at the top of my lungs, "Get a job!" Every time. To no one's amusement but my own.
Yeah, no one's
But
around.
I love telling a goose to get a job.
Yeah.
And,
If
and
if
I
a
always start
man's
with,
go ahead.
I start by going, "Whack, get a job." Whack.
But
Yeah. Nah,
the
dude.
ones by us are pretty smart. Like we got two that show up every day because they know they're going to get some food.
Yep. Dude, I want a pigeon. Pigeons are fucking awesome. And if you don't believe me, dude, after this I'll send you this video about pigeons. Unsolicited pigeon vids.
Is it narrated by Mike Tyson?
Dude, Mike Tyson. Yeah, I just recently learned that Mike Tyson loved pigeons, but
Isn't
Because-
that weird?
dude, I feel like it's
course,
very heartwarming.
Yeah.
But
it
pigeons,
is.
dude, pigeons fucking rival in the tests that they were doing. They rival primate intelligence.
That's not that hard, though.
They can figure out. Hey, what are you fucking talking about? It's not that hard.
Have you met some people?
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
So some people who are really racist will be like, "Oh, monkey this, oh, black, that sort of thing." But I counter that by saying, "You ever seen a picture of Ron Perlman, and you tell me we don't descend from apes? You're lying."
yeah, dude, for sure. I honestly, in seriousness, I don't have any difficulty believing. I see a lot of rudimentary, like human things in primates.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can
Definitely.
see like where like the beginnings of like culture come from like you have this same exact species, chimps over here, they're like peaceful. They learned how to crack nuts like with rocks, and then over here they never learn that shit, and they have like 6 alphas, and they're literally a war tribe, and they go and they fucking eat and they feed the alphas first. They don't even feed the women and children first. That's culture. That's a difference in culture. That's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah. Or like those Japanese macaques who learn to,
Language.
but they learn to dip their like yams into the seawater for the salt so that they're flavoring their food as they're eating it.
Dude, they'll also hold people's shit ransom. They'll steal people's like
Good.
sunglasses, and they'll hold it up, and they won't give it to them until they give them food, and then they'll give them
Good.
their shit back.
Japanese people have had it too good for too long.
I
don't know about that. I don't know.
They had it really good, then they had it really bad, and now we're cool.
Yeah, it's all been good for the past few years. I mean, they had a few earthquakes and tsunamis and, all that stuff. And
Yeah, I'm
Unfortunate,
really
but-
glad they don't go back to the way they used to be, because they were fucking horrifying. They were one of the few countries that Genghis Khan turned back from,
sweet.
because
I mean,
the samurais were fucking diehards,
Brutal.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
diehards.
You gotta
And the
think how
weather.
big of a bitch it would be to invade an island nation.
Yeah, they thought they were protected by like tsunami gods.
I mean, in a
And
way.
so did the Japanese. They were like, hell yeah, we are. And when you get here, we're going to fucking kill you. And if you capture me, I'll kill myself. Fuck you.
Yeah, they did the same thing during World War II, where they were like, I am so surprised these Americans give up. They could easily outnumber us, 10-1, but they don't. I don't
Yeah.
understand that.
Why
Are they
is
weak
it?
and cowardly?
Yeah, it's weird how we have a weird like, or maybe it's just me. I don't think it is. I think I'll just admit it. To have a weird admiration for like warrior culture. It's not that I think I'm not condoning it, but there's something about just leading such a difficult, hardcore life that I'm just like, it's kind of fucking awesome.
No, I respect the shit out of it.
It's kind of fucking awesome. Like the idea that like, and they were one of the few countries too. Like it was so funny. They sent missionaries like all over the place. When missionaries got to Japan, like they tried to be so polite. They were just like, we already have a thing. Like we do things and you guys do things. That's fine. The very next time they sent them, they just killed them all. And every time they sent missionaries, they would just murder them.
They're like, how
Just
many
like-
times do we have to keep repeating this lesson to you?
I just love that. They're like, we told you once.
Very respectfully and politely.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So when they went from 0 to 60, they're like, nah, that's all right. Hey, you have a good day, though. And then you show back up the next day and knock, and they just fucking shoot you in the stomach. And you're like, ah! You're like, fuck the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay, I
already told you I'm Mormon.
Well, no, me and Chris watched a documentary which I think disagrees with you, where a
Well, then
missionary
it's
goes
wrong.
into
I'm kidding.
yeah, exactly. A missionary goes into Japan and he happens to have the bat symbol shaved into his head, and he hangs out with a lot of Japanese people and monkeys and bats and
He
shit.
gets along just fine.
Yeah,
So this is definitely post Batman.
No, this is
I don't know what you're
Batman.
talking about. No, have you seen the cinematic masterpiece that is Batman Ninja?
I think you've told me. Is that the anime where he like goes through all the different times?
Yeah.
And, like,
Well, no, he specifically goes to feudal Japan.
right. Okay.
Him
Yeah.
and the Joker,
And
Bane.
Two-Face, Poison Ivy, Catwoman.
Yeah, it's fucking
Yeah.
just great.
I've heard
It's
that
the-
it's just a wild fucking ride.
It's the funniest movie I've ever seen.
Especially if you're
Face.
tripping.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
boy.
especially if you're tripping, but mainly because of how absurd it decides to go.
It keeps on going one step above what you think it'll go.
That's how it needs to be.
Yeah, you're like, oh, there's 5 villains and they're all going to team up to fight Batman. You're like, oh no, that's bad. But then it turns out that they all control a separate city and have like armies raised to fight Batman. You're like, oh, that's even worse. And then all 5 of them decided to take their capital city building, turn it into a giant mecha to then beat each other up to see who gets to fight Batman. And you're like, oh no, that's really bad.
Yeah. And
But then-
Joker's the Shogun.
Yeah, but then they all get brainwashed by a gorilla to connect all 5 into a giant Zordon mecha to fight Batman. And then Joker shows up and decides to commandeer the giant mecha with a balloon that then gives the thing a Joker face to go beat up Batman.
It's a lot to
There's-
unpack there, man.
Monkeys that come and like they form their own mech with just a million monkeys.
I do love that.
It's amazing.
And
Yeah.
then somebody decides to play a flute of bat summoning, and then a cloak of bats shroud the monkey mech in bats that then turn it into a giant Batman.
There's so much there, dude. Like that's like when the first time we sat down to record, and I was like, I can definitely dig some anime, and then there's the kind of anime that's like so alienating. I feel like that's definitely some alienating anime right there. Like if you imagine showing that to your grandfather, he would just be like,
Oh God.
"What kind of Pearl Harbor animation you watching, boy?" And he'd just hit you.
He'd be trying to yeller me. No doubt about it.
God.
He's like,
See, that's
"Where did
why-
we go wrong?
And
Where did we go wrong?"
I would love to.
he would be rolling your sleeves up just like you are.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Son, meet me out back.
time to
I
make a
wanna
new
resurrect my
son.
grandparents from when they were like my age. I want to resurrect them now, show them like the movie Avatar, and tell them it's a documentary.
Dude, that'd fuck them up.
Just don't.
They'd be
don't
convinced we found a new planet.
exactly. Like, I wouldn't tell them anything about like. I'd be like, I want to show you this documentary, how far humanity has traveled, what we've been able to accomplish, and then just put on Avatar.
That'd be good, dude. I put on Cannibal
Yeah.
Holocaust.
It really becomes believable when they start searching for unobtainium.
Yeah, let's be real. That's not a good name.
No,
But
It's not
is
good.
it, as,
terrible.
is it as crazy as the fact that there is an actual element called kryptonite?
Really? I didn't know that.
Or it's like kryptonium. But there is an element on the periodic tables that is like krypton.
No, let's
Really?
just be honest.
Do they use it versus the Bloods?
There was just a nerd who became a scientist, discovered something, and was like, "Hey, this is kryptonite."
Yeah, they actually did that with something in the brain. I can't remember. Something in the brain that has something to do with sending electrical signals, and it's called Pikachurin.
Yeah.
Oh
See,
my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like that honestly will get me to understand and remember it better.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. We got Drew over here Googling shit. Let's look at his glasses, see if we can't figure
Yeah,
out what it is.
God damn.
Oh, dude, it's
Okay.
Pornhub.
Nice. I'm trying to find out when
He's got it on
Krypton
bright
was
mode.
actually- I'm trying to find out when Krypton was actually like published in the periodic tables to see if it predates Superman or not.
I hope it.
I really hope
Doesn't?
not.
Yeah.
Because like,
Yeah.
I mean, you could think that some dork who wrote comics would just happen to know, just pick a random element off of the periodic
He
tables.
just threw a dartboard and was like, "That's the shit that'll kill Superman right there." Hopefully, it's not too common.
Hopefully, it's not too comical. Huh.
That's
Oh,
that's the shit though that like you see that movie Signs. You know what I'm talking about?
It does.
It predates Superman.
1898 was when Krypton as an element was found.
Okay, so
All right, dude. How common is it?
so the
Well,
guy who
well,
made Superman
did it
decided
in
that was a cool
1920-something.
name.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
if this
like-
shit is in every other thing, I'm about to just fucking blow my top. Because that's like coming to Earth and being like that's what I'm like. Signs, dude. I watched that movie. I was like, it's okay. And then I got to the end. I'm like, wait a fucking second. You're telling me that you figured out intergalactic travel? That's how smart you are. And you came to a planet that's 80% comprised of the shit that kills you, you fucking idiots. And you couldn't figure that out?
Yeah, you couldn't find anything else.
You know what's crazy? A light fog, which is air, that is dispersed with water. That's all fog is. Would disintegrate them. And
I know. Like, what the fuck are you doing here?
They went through a cornfield, which would definitely be covered in dew in the early mornings that they were traveling. That
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
burn the shit out of them.
And you're telling me until baseball bat water scene they didn't figure out? That ruined the movie for me. I liked the movie up until then.
Well, let me make that movie better for you. So in that movie, Mel Gibson is a huh?
Good luck.
Here comes Dr. Drew.
Yeah. This is just a theory I've heard, but it kind of makes sense. Mel Gibson in that movie is a former priest. He's a former father, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And
It's holy water.
It's holy water. And his kid leaves water all over the house because he never finishes a glass. And so they're thinking that, like, the
Is he
theory
going
is
around
that
blessing that shit?
well, it's the fact that he was a holy man that I guess his house just naturally produces holy water. That's why they were never harmed by any of the other water they would have come in contact with. It's only because they happened to hang out with fucking Mel Gibson.
I
that they're
can't
like,
tell.
bones.
I can't tell if that makes me hate it more.
I mean, it makes me
Right.
hate it more.
Because
Yeah.
that's like reverse engineering the problem. Like you watched the
Yeah.
movie and then somebody was like, "We gotta make sense out of this, dude."
Hey, you lied to me, Drew. You prefaced this with, "Let me make you like it more."
I also think they're
And
like,
you made me adamantly hate it.
and why? Like, I mean, I guess like there's so much there that I don't understand too. Like, are the aliens like, are they evil?
I mean, yeah, they try to poison his son. And he
Yeah,
only
but I
doesn't
mean,
get poisoned.
like, but
because
like,
he
you
has
can't just throw
asthma.
holy water on an asshole human. And now he's like,
Have you
ah,
tried?
and then he's normal
Have you
again.
tried?
Yeah. He just goes, you dick. Fuck you.
Yeah,
I will rip
And
your
moves on with his
system
life.
out of your body.
that's weird. That's a weird one. So I guess like that theory relies on that they have to be supernaturally evil entities.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, they're the villains of the movie. I mean, I don't know how much.
But I mean, yeah, but villain doesn't equal supernatural demonic entity.
You're right.
A villain equals alien?
You could just be
In
an
that-
asshole.
I mean, alien is a relative term. You know what I mean? Like, are you from here? No. Alien.
No.
So like, but like demon is not. Demon is a fucking specific tag. You don't earn that tag without coming from the pits of hell.
You're right.
I mean,
Very,
You got
very
some
specific.
fire or some horns or a tail or some combination.
Something. You're just a fucking. You have to be supernaturally evil, and like it's
Yeah.
just for some reason it's more funny to me that like they're confined to a planet.
That is fun.
Because if like
That
you're
is one thing I never
supernatural is
thought
one
of.
thing, but you're just like a demon. You're just like, sorry, man. God put us all on fucking
Earth.
Mercury.
This is a pain in the ass. We're demons, but we still have to fucking travel a globe and then space. What is this?
Yeah, we got to figure out the same technology, and then even though we're smart enough to do that, we're still too dumb to fucking send a probe down to figure out if there's water there.
That could hurt. That's the thing. Same thing about
Or
War of the
religion.
Worlds.
They're like,
That's
hey,
the same thing
send a
about War of the
religion
Worlds,
scope.
though. You ever seen that movie?
What movie?
War of the Worlds?
Yeah, with Calm Trues.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with that too. Is it's like, oh no, they could defeat the entire, military. Oh no, they're unbeatable, and then they died of fucking the common cold and the flu because they haven't been on Earth to evolve with the disease. So any disease that they pick up, they have no immunity to, and then they just die.
Right. Which
It's
I
like-
think is a little cooler than Signs, but I could see the issue.
Yeah, it's still that
Yeah.
like you decide to conquer a planet with no thought on how you would deal with the very real issue of germs.
Yeah, I refuse to believe that you figured out intergalactic travel, but not
Before you learn sanitizer.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't figure out like how virology
Well,
works.
And so I'm thinking that movie was just the first wave, right? Because they just sent the troops that like they don't care about. We're
The
gonna
cannon fodder.
The
we're gonna
troops
let
with
them
AIDS.
die and figure out what all is going on there. You
I mean,
know,
that's a good way to. But they never made a War of the Worlds 2.
That's true.
well,
Was that
they
like
didn't
that in
wanna
the
make
book?
It that sad.
Did it end the same way in the book? Or
I
the
don't know, I
the
never read
original
book.
like radio broadcast thing, you know what I'm talking about?
I was too busy
Oh,
reading
yeah,
the
good question.
novelization of Batman.
Right. Yeah. True culture. Nah, dude, I read some dumb shit too. It's just hilarious that you don't read a lot, but that's one of the few things you have read. It's just I'm not gonna let that slide.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
that's
'Cause
pretty amazing.
I'm a media sponge more so than I am like a book reader or a movie watcher. I just absorb everything I hear.
That's true. Why don't you could do like audiobooks?
I've wanted to get into audiobooks lately,
My
but
mom does a lot of audiobooks because if you're gonna drive, it's like a podcast. Might as well listen to a story.
yeah, I just don't know if my brain could like pay attention enough for a book.
I get that. Oh, do
Especially
you
when
mean
it's
like the for
17
reading or
hours.
audiobooks? Or
No, I
both?
can read just fine. Audiobooks, I feel like because it's in that format, I don't know if I could like visualize the book the same way I can when I'm reading. Because when I read, I could go through like 6 pages without like consciously reading. Like the story just tells itself in my brain, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
when I listen to an audiobook, I don't get that. I never just like get lost in it.
Yeah, I'm not a good audio interpreter overall,
No.
really.
Yeah, no, it's too easy to get distracted.
Yeah, I'm
That's
definitely
exactly
a
it.
subtitles guy.
Me too.
I'm starting to think that these are like issues of the waning attention span of
Oh, it
like
is.
our
Oh, yeah.
us as humans.
Yeah, for sure.
Like saying what, but I did
Uh.
hear you. It's just I'm not listening to you because
yeah.
I'm like overstimulated.
Yeah, it just takes that second to process, and then as soon as the person starts re-saying what they say, you're like, "Oh yeah, no,
Yep.
I got you."
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? Because like there'll be times
It's
where
fucking
I hear a
ADD is what
person-
it is.
Well, I
Yeah.
don't even know if it's that. Like, I will be talking to somebody, like, turn my back and still listen to them, hear, like, the very essence of a sentence, be like, what'd you say? Oh, yeah. Like, but I'm still paying attention to them. You know,
Yeah.
like, what is
Right.
that?
Dude,
Well,
it's
that's
the lack of ability to process the information. Like,
I think it's just our culture these days too. There's just so much going on, so much that you're quote unquote supposed to be paying attention to. You know,
yeah, I think because a lot like attention span is not it's not like a hard fixed number. Like a attention
Yeah.
span can be worked out and I have a bad attention span, but like it just is the case. If you practice focus, you can get better at focusing on things. We just don't do it because we don't live in a culture that is really conducive to being patient or like focusing on one thing at a time. We just don't do that.
Well, I actually don't like having subtitles on it if I don't have to, like, unless it's like I watch subtitles if it's Japanese anime, obviously, but otherwise it just distracts me from what's actually like. So all I'll do is read it, and I won't see what's really happening on screen.
It does sort of somewhat detract from your ability to like see the subtleties of like facial expressions and stuff going on in the background of scenes.
Is that then you get movies directed by like Christopher Nolan in the past few years where his dialogue is like time travel, fucking paradox, but his music in the background is absolutely going the fuck off.
He had Trent Reznor fucking do the audio mixing.
His music is at 75% and his vocals are at 12%, and you're like, no, what the fuck did he just say? And why is like, how is he explaining time travel during a rock concert?
I do think like maybe if some of those things were mixed for either seeing it in theater or having subtitles on, because if you're just watching it at home, you're like, why is everybody fucking like?
And I mean, movies,
and then a car explodes and it's way too fucking loud, and your neighbors complain.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at fucking what's that movie, Wizard of Oz. Every single line of that movie is spoken incredibly clearly, definitely into a mic. Like, there is no mixing up what that bitch just said. And as time goes on, you know, music gets a little bit more integral to like certain movies, and they start sort of coming up underneath the audio track, and everything sort of starts becoming more blurry. And like modern day movies are so much harder to understand dialogue wise than, you know, even movies made 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and some of that I think comes from the evolution. Like when you watch like how movies were, like the original movies with dialogue, they were coming out of silent films, which themselves stemmed out of like theater acting. It's like the way that people convey a line in the theater is very different than like trying to naturally deliver a line like a human would in real life. That's relatively a new idea, to try to be like organic. Like if you watch, like we saw this video, it was kind of cool. You guys could look it up. It's bloopers from movies in like the 1930s, 1940s. And it sort of humanizes it, because they'll be doing the scene and they're talking like this and they're like, I'm saying words, and then they mess up a line and they just turn into people from 2023. They're like, oh fuck, man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it like that. And you're like, huh? And it like breaks your brain, because you're like conditioned to believe that everybody just walked around talking like this in the 1930s. They didn't.
Yeah.
That's how acting was. Acting like a normal person is a new idea. And mixing movies to accommodate that, I think, is part of that. You know what I mean? Like reality is, you got cars and music and all this shit, and like,
we're gonna fuck in the Matrix.
Right. Mixing a movie back in the day, you're like, why is the music so fucking loud? You can't hear the person deliver the expositional line that lets you know that that's his sister.
Exactly. Yeah.
I heard that.
Who was that? What was that?
My dad just walked by and said, are they on their gay cast?